Hi, welcome to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Thanks for joining the conversation. Live from New York with Perry Young. I love seeing my friends when I travel. Perry and I catch up in the cafe on the Upper West Side on a chilly New York day. Perry is a true activist and artist. From shakuhachi flute mastery to an actor on screen, he inspires in so many ways. Best known for his role as Father Jun on the hit show Warrior, Perry also keeps very busy advocating for social justice. We discuss the challenges of the survival of art while the current administration has slashed funding and ways to learn how you can get involved. Perry has a lot of inspiring projects in the works, but check some of these out. Lucky FM 2 in New York City on May 21st to 31st in honor of AANHPI Heritage Month. Tickets are on sale and can be found here at my blog post. And his newest film, bunnylovr. Check that out as well. You can also support by tuning into tracks of his relaxing shakuhachi flute music or follow him on Instagram to keep up with his work. It was so much fun catching up with Perry in person and just enjoying a cup of tea while talking to somebody I truly enjoy. So if you're enjoying these podcasts and conversations, please rate my podcast on your platform of choice and share it with others. If you would like to support with a donation to help keep this podcast going and support the work I do, you can become a patron of the show by visiting my website or patreon.com/SifuMimiChan. For comments or suggestions, reach out on social media at SifuMimiChan. Now, on with the show. I'm here with my pal Perry in NYC. What?
Hello. Get out of here. Walk in here. Hey.
You are the sweetest to always make time for me amidst like between rehearsals, between this and that. Last time we met in Chinatown. Last time we ended up at a rally together. The next day, you know, my activist pal here.
That's right. That's right. I mean, there's a great community in Chinatown of activists. I mean, that, you know, they're all unsung heroes. We don't know about them. And that's why we need education about our, community. You know, we're doing so much to fight the fight. And that rally, if you remember, it was about, it was a Black and Asian solidarity moment.
Yes.
Because there was an Asian man attacked by a person with mental illness, and the media made it about race, when it really was about just mental illness.
Yes.
So those are things that the community came together to fight and to educate, to basically speak out publicly to the newscasters who were there while the case was going to trial, was that this was about mental illness and it wasn't a racial attack.
Yeah, and that solidarity was so cool to actually be with you in New York and just kind of being in front of that courthouse. And I mean, timing is everything, but I'm a little bit frustrated with, like, fast forward, because that was a few years ago, like, we're still being faced with just so much crap, man. It's like one thing after another. And it's like, just when we think we're making some progress, like you and I have been, at it from different states. I see you out there on the lines, in the protest, doing all the stuff, but like, it just feels never ending and exhaustive that we're always needing to keep fighting the fight. And I mean, I know that's history and it's there, but hasn't it felt a bit more exhaustive than like it needs to be? Like, this is a little extra.
Absolutely. I mean, with the new administration coming in, we thought the nightmare was over, right? But it came back. So when the nightmare comes back, it's like we're re-traumatized.
Yeah.
And it's even harder than before, because now this is the second battle. And the second battle is in many ways harder because now the new administration learn from their past mistake, and really it's about how can we continuously fight this intense onslaught, in this, that's destroying our democracy. And we have to remind ourselves that it's probably as bad as it's always been. We just didn't know. Like, we didn't have the kind of news and media and things calling it out. And we know more now. But those of us who have been around, and I can't say that I've been around that long,
young flutes.
Right, no, but
young.
Yes, that's a misnomer, by the way. But I did my Asian American studies in 1986 at San Francisco State University. And so when that opened my mind to the systemic oppression and racism in America, I basically went, oh my God, this is going to be a fight, And I was reading things from Grace Lee Boggs and Angela Davis then saying it's a long fight. We're in it for the long game.
Yeah.
So, and I quote Angela Davis all the time. It's like if you're an activist, you have to learn to enjoy it because it's a lifelong activity. So,
Well said.
yeah, so how I deal with it was like last night we had a community event celebrating our community leaders that are fighting for our culture and our place in America. And these are leaders in the arts and other programming and education around Chinatown. It's like they've been fighting for this for like decades, and we're celebrating them in a Lunar New Year celebration with lion dances, our culture.
Yeah.
And it was just so uplifting, and it just reminds us that hey, we can still enjoy life.
Yeah.
While we do the fight, just remember to take care of yourself when you can.
100%. Speaking of uplifting, you are always doing activism, but at the same time, you're a working actor, you're a working artist, I see you playing the flute, I see you in films and television. It's so much fun, by the way, to catch up with you and be like, oh, look, there's Perry. But how do you keep that artistic inspiration? Because as a martial artist, like we do a different form of that. Like it's not acting on screen, but like we are performing for an audience. And I tell my students, look, we're here for Lunar New Year, for example. We're here to bring joy to the community. Despite how we're feeling, we have to then put on the showtime. It's showtime, right? So the lion is there to bring joy and good luck and positivity. We have such a gift and a privilege to be able to do that for our community. So when we show up, I don't want to see sad faces, despite what we heard that morning, because if you turn the news on any given day, there will be something sad or something frustrating. And so we always tell them, like, you need to show up, for the good of this. But like, as an actor, having that little bit of experience, I'm like, man, sometimes you really got to channel. It's like, how do you find this inspiration? Because you're so entrenched in the activism, and you're really, a lot of your warrior friends and colleagues are like, oh, Perry's the real deal. Like, he's doing God's work, quote. I think that's a Hoon Lee quote. But like, some people are all, of course, supportive. But like, you are just, if someone asks you, you're always there. And so like, having to compartmentalize, how do you continue to find that inspiration to do such incredible artistic expression?
Well, I just look to my heroes. Those who have inspired me, put me on my path. I've never met Bruce Lee in person, but I just have to look at an image of him and I'm inspired, right? So it's stuff like that. It's like, how did he do that? He's so singular. Or Martin Luther King, right? These people who are just like so iconic because of the work that they did, were just an image of them can like reset you or shift your feelings or your mental state at the moment. So I think about that all the time when I'm like, okay, so I'm tired and have to go into this room, you know? And it's like, so how can I shift that? And basically I'm reminded of like my heroes and what an opportunity I have right now to be an instrument of change for someone. Basically just to plant a seed of there's hope.
Yeah.
And like for just in my theater work, it's like we can talk about racism and this historical systemic oppression on our people forever, and we're just going to re-traumatize ourselves all the time. Now, do I want to expose them to that in a play, But how can I do it differently to inspire them? And that's basically putting our stuff in music, and harmonies. And a little bit of hope in that. And, just the vibrations of harmony in a room with the theme of like togetherness can shift somebody's mental state so quickly to go, I want to do that. I'd rather live like that. It's so easy, actually, when you think about it. It's just having the focus to go, okay, now I'm going to shift gears or turn the channel on something a little more helpful for the moment.
Yeah. Well, much respect for that. And like I said, it's been a lot of fun seeing you on the different projects. Is it the Three Body Problem? You had this incredibly moving role, and it's actually, kind of partnered in education, which is something I'm really passionate about, and learning all about how like other countries also affect, how other countries also affect what happens here. Like people don't realize like history repeats itself in different places. And if we don't pay attention, if we're not learning from our mistakes, learning from historical mistakes, then they do get repeated. And we definitely see that today. We're having such an incredibly heartbreaking moment with ICE and immigrants, and still alive are some of our brothers and sisters from Japanese incarceration and what they suffered, and for them to have to witness that again in the same country that it has happened is heartbreaking.
It's insane how we see the quote "never again," but never again is now,
Yeah.
and never again is always. It's like it's so easy to say never again from a place looking at history. But when you're living it and actually you apply it to yourself, it's like, what am I doing in this moment of never again? And it's a very simple thing of whether you're going to just donate to the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, because they're fighting Trump in court.
Yeah.
They're one of the most powerful tools that we have to uphold democracy right now.
Yeah.
Just putting your body on the line where you just show up at a demonstration. Those numbers actually count when they see hundreds of thousands of people marching on No King's Days. That counts visually for those who are at home going, I should actually be out there. And during the civil rights, when the beatings of Black people were televised, that's when white people finally showed up at the lines.
Yeah.
It's because they saw the bodies there and sort of the sacrifices that we make for ourselves and our family. Like I do a lot of what I do for my children because they're going to have another life. They're going to have many more years of America than in the future than I'm going to have. So it's like, what am I doing for that? And not to mention climate change, amidst of all of that, right? But
I'm in Florida, so I mean, we're underwater. We're going to be gone. So we got to all start migrating.
When those
somewhere.
icebergs melt, I mean, yeah. So, it's a constant fight, and it's just a reminder of like, enjoy your life on the planet while there's work to do.
Yeah.
And try not to get too emotionally wrapped up into it because it's a long game. We're playing the long game.
Yeah.
You can enjoy the fight in the long game, however you can. I mean, I know that it's difficult because trauma is a difficult thing, and sometimes trauma arrests us where we can't act. And you just have to kind of look at yourself and say, well, how can I act? And it's a simple $5 donation to the ACLU. If you can't leave your house because of things like that, because you're afraid of, and it's, there is danger involved when you go into a protest.
Yeah.
So it's whatever little thing you can do just to shift the needle for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I've been trying to let people know that activism, advocacy, it can be bite-sized, but it can make a difference. Like your one small act of resistance does add up, because if everyone's doing it, then we're all, moving forward, like you said, pushing that needle. And I think it does look different for everybody, because a lot of people are like, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And it's something I constantly emphasize. But like seeing leaders like yourself, it's super inspiring, because you're just always out there on the front lines. And it's really cool too to be in a city like New York, where the streets are the streets, and it's kind of this like gritty, like you take to the streets. Orlando's downtown is very small, so it's got a different feel, but we're usually out in front of City Hall, and it's kind of got like this kind of big space. But I can only imagine having, been to protests where I'm at, like the energy that you feel when you're out on the streets in New York. There has to be something really empowering.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's like, it's a community, right, of demonstrators. There's a core community in anti, or the community that supports Palestine, and ICE and anti-ICE, and there's a community that's core. They have these huge chat groups, right, and signal groups that when something goes down, ICE is spotted. 100 of them are there within like 10 minutes. It's really amazing. And I have a friend in one of them, and whenever I go near a protest and I hear the drums, I know he's a drummer, I'll go and he's there. I'll see them. I'll see my community. So I know that my community is there. And so if you're one of these people, you just know that you have support and community is there for you.
Yeah.
And you show up for the greater good. And it feels really good because you're you're on the right side of history.
Yeah.
So, and all my friend, the drummer who's always there, and literally the other day I left the workshop and I heard the drumming on Broadway. And I went, and there he was, It's just like, I grabbed him and he just, he screamed. I mean, it's like, it becomes a community. And then, so that's how we make it fun. Because you show up with your friends and you do this with your friends.
Yeah.
But, on that note, I want to say that, the way that we see the GOP using our tax dollars, funding wars right now, instead of healthcare, things that Americans really find important, it's like, how else can you support people who can make a change in our culture? When they're eradicating DEI teaching and scrubbing us from websites, we have to support writers, actors, writers, musicians,
Artists,
artists,
yes.
because we are the ones that are telling the story of what's happening right now. We're
Yes.
not journalists who are getting edited out,
Correct.
right? We're like, so for example, my show Slant, I want to do a shameless plug.
No, please tell us.
May 21st to the 31st, we're invited back to La Mama Theater for Asian American History Month celebration. So we're basically doing our Lucky FM trilogy. So last year we did Lucky FM 1 about history of AAPI in America and how we got here. Lucky FM 2 is what are we doing here now, right?
Yeah.
With the, history has just manifested itself and never again, but yes, here we are again. So we're dealing with that. And next year will be Lucky FM 3 about the future of AA and HPI in America. And we're going to imagine what that could be, like an Asian, diasporic kind of a futurism, Asian futurism, So, but like, we have to raise money and build community doing that because Trump basically slashed support for all these, arts organizations across the U.S.
Yeah.
So here we are as artists still trying to make our, tell our stories, share our experiences, create empathy, build unity for a better America. So we understand our neighbors.
Yes.
We have no money to do that. And the arts organizations that support these artists that are not commercial, not Broadway, not Hollywood, how do they continue writing their stories and making their art? It's like to invite the average person to put in $5, $10, and $20 to help us make the show. So you are actually involved in creating culture and supporting the culture as opposed to your tax dollars being taken out of your wallets without your, control and put into war. But you can actually decide to invest in America.
Yeah.
So basically our group Slant wants to open up our creative process and invite the audience, the general community, saying to be a part of this storytelling, be a part of creating culture, be a part of what we can build as tools against this, fascist regime right now.
Yeah.
So our show, look for the Kickstarter campaign on my IG,
Yes.
and basically, so whatever people can donate because our sponsoring organization La Mama had all the funding taken away from them this year, and that's because of one man saying, I don't want to support the arts because the arts are education,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So basically, that's a simple way, again, to be involved. It's like you can donate some of your, it's not a lot, but you can donate some of your money to create change in America.
And what people also love is that feeling of like closeness. Like, yes, definitely keep donating to ACLU, but like to donate to something like your org or your art and like the production that's going to happen, like it's so, first person, and like you can feel the impact, you can see the impact, there's a direct result. I think that's really a beautiful thing because a lot of times you go, oh, I donate to this org, I don't know where it's going. Is it going to the fire disaster? Is it going to here? But I mean, this is something where you can, kind of get an immediate impact and just see something really beautiful manifested. And let me just tell you all, like any work that Perry is doing is good. It's positive, it's needed, it's necessary in our community. So, speaking of that, and then we'll wrap up, I often get into quasi-arguments, let's just say, but like we just have, it's award season. We see a lot of actors, celebrities using their platform to discuss activism or speak out against ICE. And a lot of people say they should just shut up. This is not their realm. They're not politicians. They're not experts. And I was like, well, but they have opinions, they have a voice, and they have a platform that they can use for good. But then we often see like the other side of it where maybe it doesn't actually help make impact. Like, what are your thoughts? Because I really feel like actors and celebrities should be able to use their platform for good and to kind of to share what their thoughts are,
I mean, this is why we're in America, First Amendment, we get to say whatever we want and we have the freedom of speech. You could say, the KKK can say whatever they want, right? I mean, why can't an actor say I'm against immigrants being, kidnapped, right? So, of course we have the right to say whatever we want. And we actually, for me as a person in the public, it's my platform to actually affect change. Why shouldn't I use it? And not even as a celebrity. I mean, yes, of course, celebrity, I'm all for it, but the average person should feel free to voice their opinion in line at the supermarket and not be attacked, right? So this is what America really comes down to: is freedom of speech, and the safety of saying that whatever you want. Not whatever you want, as long as you're not screaming fire in a crowded theater,
Right,
right?
or
Where
like
when you
some
know
extreme,
when you
yeah.
know that your whatever your speech will cause harm, that is
Yeah.
that is actually punishable by law.
Right.
But if you're just expressing an opinion, that's not punishable by law, or at
Right.
least it wasn't until now.
Yes.
So
Well, an opinion that doesn't match what the administration wants.
absolutely, absolutely. And our First Amendment right is, our founding fathers said a true patriot challenges the government, to make it better than what it is. So yes, we should all voice our opinions. I mean, we're to make the world a better place, to make it a safer place for everyone.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like and again, I know we got to wrap, but the administration is doing such a great job, though, of instilling so much fear that people are scared to attend a protest because they'll show on their quote unquote media, oh, look what's happening, and they're so violent. And whereas, like, if you actually follow IG, where like Perry's posting, it's so peaceful, there's drummers, it's almost like a parade is in the streets, it's just like this beautiful energy. And so they're really showcasing all the things to promote fear. And then also people who are speaking out, they're like showing up at their door, all these crazy things. And so, like, what is your advice for kind of breaking that barrier? Because at some point we do have to stand up, and silence is complicity.
Absolutely, silence is complicity. So the thing in what you're saying has been an effect for like since the beginning of media, newspaper. It's like it's a very slanted opinion coming from the authority. It's like divisiveness. So since the very beginning of the written page, it's about swaying public opinion.
Yeah.
And once it became into voting for politicians, for them to gain votes is to be divisive and blame the other side for your problems, right? You can see it all over Trump because the immigrants are the problem, the criminals are the problem. So, and if you side with them, you're the problem. But so you have, if you educate, it comes down to education and how you understand how the media works. And basically anything from, they've been saying it forever, mainstream media is going to be very skewed to one opinion. And when you say, if you're looking at social media and you kind of go off your own algorithm, you see very peaceful, loving demonstrations.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's the actual truth, is that very few of the demonstrations have violent acts. Very few of them. And the ones that do are the ones that are promoted by the other side that wants to divide us. So it's about understanding how the media works and understanding fake news these days. It's like there are some countries that are teaching, like Norway or Finland, kids how to understand fake news or see fake news and being informed.
Do your
right.
own research,
Right.
follow. Yeah, it's unfortunate that we have to actually go the extra mile to find the truth, but the truth is important and it matters, and it's absolutely worth seeking out. So 100%. We need to be able to identify that. Perry, you are such a joy. I am so grateful to call you my friend.
Aww.
And it's so cool to be sitting live with you in New York and on this very New York gloomy-ish day. but I'll take it. Anything else you want to share? Maybe one more time, let us know how we can help your GoFundMe, and just like kind of let us know where to go, where to click, and one more time, like what the show is about and how it's going to impact others.
Okay, so two things.
Yes.
I do want to again mention Lucky FM 2.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes,
So
we
Lucky
didn't talk
FM
about
2
that.
will be at La Mama Theater in New York City. So you could come to my IG or Facebook and you can find me posting, announcing the show. The other thing I want to plug is the new film Bunny Lovr that I'm in. And it's written, directed, and acted by Katharina Ju, Asian woman ZHU, Katharina Ju. She's Mandarin speaking,
Yeah.
but she graduated from NYU, young director, writer, actor, made her first feature-length film, and it's about love in New York City. And it's a love letter to herself, and it looks at her family, her friends, and platonic relationships. And basically it's a letter to herself, and how do you get through life?
Yeah.
With relationships, and how do you understand your relationships? Such a beautiful film. It opens April 10th in New York City and Los Angeles.
Okay.
And like if she were a young woman today graduating from NYU with the political climate being what it is, I'm not sure she would make this film, But she probably had been writing this film for 8 to 10 years
Wow.
before it finally got made.
Yes.
So she had that time, in the early 2000s or yeah, 1910s, to think about it and process it. And it's a very different time in America.
Yeah.
It was a time that gave us more freedom of voice and speech. And for
Yes.
how else would this young Asian woman be able to tell that story?
Right.
So I want to say that, like, because she wrote that story, it can touch us and remind us that we have power, to create these bonds of love between anyone around us, your family, your friends, and potential romantic relationships. It's how do we make those connections? How do you get outside of your box and what's real? So it's an incredibly beautiful film. And I just want to say there's a new Asian woman director in the world now, and we need to
Yes.
support her voice.
100%.
Yeah, Bunny Lovr.
Yes, bunnylovr, love it. Okay, so we'll look for that. We'll link all of that here, and of course the Kickstarter, so that we can make sure that we have artists who have a voice that need to be heard. So please, y'all support. So thank you so much, Perry.
Thank you so much, Mimi.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Please subscribe and rate my podcast on your platform of choice and leave a review. You can become a patron of the show at patreon.com/SifuMimiChan to help keep this podcast going. Follow me and interact on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan on Instagram or Facebook.